Imagine you have a full functional personal assistant. You can chat with it in Discord. Tell me about the news today. It will search by itself and let you know. You can also ask it, help me build a website. It will silently write code, deploy it, and directly send link to you. You don't even need to chat with it. It will proactively check your calendar. If you have a meeting tomorrow, it will remind you of preparing the materials of it. The personal assistant can help you manage the projects, calendar, and your documents. You can chat with it through Discord, Telegram, or any messaging apps, as long as they support both. And you can have multiple personal assistants like this, and put them to same chat. Let them discuss and collaborate. This kind of personal assistant can be achieved by OpenClaw. Then, what is OpenClaw? The official description of OpenClaw is very direct. Just your personal assistant. OpenClaw was founded by developer Peter Steinberger on November 2025. It was initially named as ClawBot, and then renamed to MonkBot, and finally renamed to OpenClaw on January 2026. Most of the source code of OpenClaw was written with the help of AI. Peter joined OpenAI recently, and OpenClaw will be taken over by Open Source Foundation going forward. OpenClaw started from November 2025 until February 2026, only 4 months. The GitHub star of open source repo has been over 200,000. What does the number mean? We know the dominating machine learning framework, PyTorch, has been launched for many years. The GitHub star of that repo has not been over 100,000 yet. But OpenClaw has got community's recognition within only 4 months. It's almost the answer of AI agent at this time. How can it achieve this? As we know, there are already so many AI agents today in the market, like the standard chatbot, like ChatGPT, DeepSeek, or the AI agents for coding, like Cloud Code. What are the special features of OpenClaw comparing to them? After several weeks of learning and experiments, I've summarized the 3 exclusive features of OpenClaw. First is the memory. When we initially started chatting with chatbot, a significant issue is that you have chat a lot with one chatbot in one session yesterday. Then today you started a new session. It doesn't remember anything. You may want to say, I'm not going to open any new sessions. I'm always going to use one session. But that has problems, because during multi-round conversation, every time when you send a new message, actually all of the chat history was sent to the model. Then the context the model needs to understand will be longer and longer. However, there's always a maximum context length supported by a specific model or infra. If the context is long enough, the performance will regress a lot. Therefore, during the early time, most of the chatbot apps limit the maximum context length. It will force you to start a new session when your session is long enough. So, during the AI agent development, there's an important concept called context engineering. Context engineering targets building a context environment, smartly and consistently providing context to the model within the maximum context length, instead of providing all the context to the model every time. If you look into the latest version of ChatGPT or similar apps, you can find they already start supporting the memory feature. However, this kind of memory is managed by the service provider. As a user, you don't really have the full permission to them. You don't know how they store them and how they use them. If you look into the AI agents for coding, like Cloud Code, they are limiting the context within the current workspace. There's still issue, but the content, like your code, your documents, within this workspace will become longer and longer. So eventually the context will still be super large and you will pay lots of tokens for that. So typical optimization of context engineering is called scale. It was initially proposed by Anthropic and then contributed to open source community. Based on the progressive exposure concept, scale can only load context as needed. It doesn't have to load all the context at one time. OpenClaw abstracts another layer. It defines a standard workspace structure, organizing all of the context memory together through context engineering. Persisting the workspace in the local folder of user's localhost. Users have the full control of the workspace. OpenClaw workspace includes lots of files. Let's quickly look into some of them together. First, there's a file called store. It defines who is the AI, what is the personality of the AI. You can change this to make your AI agent more formal or more casual. Then this user file defines the user, you, who you are, what you do, and your preference. For example, if you tell OpenClaw, I don't want to be disturbed in the morning, then OpenClaw will remember this through this user file, and it will not bother you in the morning. The memory file is OpenClaw's long-term memory. OpenClaw will write any important information and important decisions to this file. In addition, it writes the journal every day. Know that all the interactions with these files, you don't need to tell OpenClaw to write them. OpenClaw will make the judgment by itself through the conversation with you. It will decide what should be written, what should not be written, and where should be written to. We can see in OpenClaw Workspace, all of this content is written as just markdown files. But just a simple design like this adjusts the issue of consistent memory and personality of AI agents. The second feature of OpenClaw is its standard extensibility. OpenClaw itself is very light. It's like an orchestration center. The external tools and channels are the ones actually doing the work. For example, we use GitHub to manage the code, Google Sheets to manage the forms, or Gmail to manage the emails. If you would like OpenClaw to help you write code and push code to GitHub, you can use the GitHub skill. You want OpenClaw to manage the forms for you, then use Google Sheets skill. Or if you want OpenClaw to manage the emails for you, use the Gmail skill. Then let's talk about the channel. For most of the AI agents, you have to use the specific apps or websites provided by the agent provider. But you can integrate OpenClaw to any your familiar messaging apps as long as they support bots like Discord, Telegram, and all of these channel integration are like plugins. Even if there are future chatting apps coming, the community developers can still integrate them easily. So OpenClaw is like a switch between the tools which help you actually do the work, and the channels, which are your familiar chatting apps. This is pretty similar to the early stage of smartphones. The selling point of smartphone is not just making the call. It is actually the application ecosystem. The smartphone can get any features provided by the applications. Similarly, OpenClaw just provides an integration standard to all the tools and channels. So OpenClaw could become more useful as tools become more useful. The third feature of OpenClaw is its background session. OpenClaw does not only support the basic background session feature. For example, you want OpenClaw to help you build a project end-to-end, and you also want it to do other things for you in parallel. You can just start a background session for the project coding, but other than that, it also supports cron job. For example, you can ask OpenClaw to summarize your emails every day, or summarize your work, check your server health every 1 hour. OpenClaw is no longer just a chatbot. It becomes more like a digital employee who is always live. The concern of OpenClaw is also widely acknowledged by the community. Lots of privileged permissions are given to OpenClaw. It has write permission to your files, your emails, on all of your hosts. Any mistakes, or if you use some malicious skills, may cause significant impact. Even one of the maintainers of OpenClaw has reminded people, if you can't understand how to run a command line, the project might be too risky for you without guidance. So OpenClaw is more like a strong tool for technical people today. It still has some gap from becoming a general personal assistant for everyone. OpenClaw itself is free and open source, but it needs to call the large language model, like ChatGPT or Cloud. The cost of LLM depends on how much you use them. You also need a host to run OpenClaw. It can be your own desktop. Many people are going to buy a Mac Mini for that. You can also rent a VPS. Many OpenClaw users are using VPS from Hasna. I'm also using that. It's pretty affordable, $5 a month. There are already so many guides in the community about how to set it up. It's not very straightforward. Fortunately, the developers from the community have contributed the Terraform of setting it up. So all of the configs can be defined locally and deployed to VPS through Terraform. In summary, I don't think OpenClaw is a cutting-edge technology, but it's a very beautiful engineering project. I have chatted with many friends within the industry. Many of us have already imagined the ideal AI personal assistant. What does that look like? They even try to build one by themselves. But the developers of OpenClaw have built OpenClaw as just what we have in our mind. Although there are still many issues, like the default complicated deployment process, security, privacy. However, because OpenClaw is open source and is very extensible, I still believe OpenClaw has really unlimited potential.